The air hums with the static of old machinery and the distant thump of underground bass lines. The safe house is a cramped, forgotten space above a boarded-up ramen shop, its walls peeling under the flickering glow of a jury-rigged holographic lamp. Dax stands by the table, arms crossed, his cyberblade resting within easy reach. Kel, the armored stranger, leans against the doorframe, their visor still retracted, revealing those unsettling green eyes. Echo pulses in Dax's mind, a steady rhythm of caution and calculation. Kel's voice cuts through the silence, low and urgent. "You don't have much time." Dax doesn't flinch. "Time for what?" Kel taps their wrist display. A countdown flickers to life in the air between them. 47:23:15. That's when Vatek's next security rotation cycles, the window to get into the cradle without tripping every alarm in the city. Echo's presence tenses in Dax's mind. They're not bluffing. That's a real-time feed from Vatek's mainframe. Dax exhales, rubbing his temples. And if we miss it, Kel's expression doesn't change. Then the cradle goes dark, forever, and whatever's inside it, Vatek unleashes it. A beat of silence. The holographic schematics of the cradle hover over the table, casting eerie boo reflections on Dax's face. "So we're on a clock," Dax says, dry. "You've always been on a clock," Kel replies. "You just didn't know it was ticking." Kel flicks a small black cred chip on the table. It clatters against the metal, spinning before settling. "My contact details, encrypted, one-time use." Dax picks it up, rolling it between his fingers. "You're awfully trusting for someone who won't even tell us their real name." Kel smirks. "I'm not trusting. I'm desperate, and so are you." Echo ripples in Dax's mind. "They're right. Vatek's moving faster than we thought. The cradle's power signatures are spiking." Dax glances at the schematics. "What's the rush? What's Vatek planning?" Kel's glowing eyes flicker. They're not just testing the Genesis core anymore. They're activating it. And once that happens, we're all fucked. Dax finishes. Exactly. Dax studies them. Why us? Why not just do this yourself? Kel steps closer, their voice dropping. "Because I can't get past the final lock. Not without Echo." Echo flares in Dax's mind. Protective. "They need me, but they're not saying why." Kel doesn't deny it. Echo is the only thing that can interface with the core without setting off the fail-safes. Dax crosses his arms. "And what happens when we unlock it?" Kel hesitates. Then quietly. "Then we end it." Dax laughs, sharp and bitter. "End it? You make it sound like we're flipping a switch." "It's not a switch," Kel says. "It's a choice." Echo pulses, uneasy. "They're hiding something. I can feel it in their neural patterns." Kel ignores Echo, their gaze locked on Dax. "You have 12 hours to decide. After that, the door closes." Dax picks up the cred chip, weighing it in his palm. "And you will say no?" Kel shrugs. "Then I find someone else, and you disappear." Dax grins, all teeth. "Threats don't suit you, Kel." Kel doesn't smile back. "It's not a threat. It's a promise." The air cracks with tension. The hologram of the cradle flickers as if reacting to the weight of the moment. Kel turns toward the door. 12 hours, then I'm gone, and so is your chance." Dax don't stop him. "Hey, Kel." Kel pauses, looking back. "If this is a setup, I will find you." Kel smirks. "I'd expect nothing less, Green Ghost." Then they're gone, the door hissing shut behind them. Silence. Dax slumps into a chair, the cred chip clutched in his fist. Echo unfurls in Dax's mind, their presence warm, concerned. "We can't trust them." Dax rubs his temples. "We can't trust anyone." "But we need them." Dax stares at the schematics. "Yeah, we do." Echo shifts, thoughtful. "They're hiding something. Something about the cradle, something about me." Dax exhales. "Aren't we all?" Echo pulses, frustrated. "This isn't just about stopping Vatek. Kel wants something more." Dax leans back, the chair creaking. "Then we find out what it is after we get inside." "And if it's a trap?" Dax grins, taps the cred chip against the table. "We do this alone." Echo hesitates. "Lena could help. Rook. No, Dax cuts in. No friends, no allies, just us, scale, and whatever the hell is in that core. Why? Echo asks. Dax's expression darkens. Because if this goes south, I don't want anyone else burning for it. Echo's silent for a long moment. Then, you're afraid. Dax laughs, humorless. Damn right I'm afraid, but I'm more afraid of what happens if we don't do this. Echo softens. Then we do it. Together. Dax nods, firm. Together. He activates the cred chip. Holographic keyboard flickers to life. His fingers hover over the keys. Message them. Dax types. We're in. Meet at the old subway tunnel beneath 8th and Michigan, midnight. Come alone. He sends it. The countdown glows in the air. 47:22:30. No turning back now. Dax stands pacing the safe house. We need a plan. Echo projects the schematics again, highlighting weak points. The cradle's east is adaptive. It learns, but it's slow. Dax studies it, so we hit it fast. And quiet, Echo adds. Vatex drones are everywhere. Dax nods. We go in dark. No gun, no explosion, just you, me, and Kale's disruptor. And if Kale betrays us? Dax taps his cyberblade. Then we cut our way out. Echo laughs, a static charge sound. You're optimistic? Dax grins. I'm a realist. Dax pulls out his cyberdeck, slotting in fresh icebreaker. We run simulations, every scenario, every trap Kale might spring. Echo floods his mind with data, security protocols, patrol routes, fail-safes. They're expecting us to go in hot, so we go in cold. Dax smirks. I like the way you think. They spend hours prepping, rewriting firewalls, mapping the speak routes, testing the disruptor. The countdown ticks down. 47:19:14. Dax checks his blade. His neural spike is stashed at stems. We ready? Echo pulses, steady, as we'll ever be. Dax pauses, looking at the empty chair where Kale sat. You think they're telling the truth about the cradle? Echo hesitates. I think they believe they are. That's not an answer. It's the only one we've got. Dax exhales. Then we trust him for now. And if we're wrong? Dax grins feral, then we make sure they regret it. The safe house is quiet. The only sound is the hum of the city outside. Dax checks the time, 11:30 p.m. We move in 30. Echo pulses, ready. Let's end this. Dax grabs his jacket, slinging his blade. Yeah, let's end it. The neon glow of Detroit bleeds through the boarded up windows, painting the safe house in electric blues and toxic greens. Dax takes one last look at the schematics, the countdown, the message to Kale. Then he kicks open the door. Time to hunt.
The air is thick with the scent of rust, damp concrete, and the faint hum of abandoned machinery. Flickering fluorescent lights cast long, jagged shadows across the graffiti-covered walls. Dax steps carefully over broken tiles, his boots crunching on shattered glass. Echo's presence hums in his mind, alert and watchful. The tunnel is silent, except for the distant drip of water and the occasional scurry of rats. Kyle is already there, leaning against a corroded support beam, their armored coat blending into the darkness. Kyle doesn't turn as Dax approaches. You're late. Dax checks his wrist display. 11:58 p.m. 2 minutes. Relax. Kyle's visor flickers as it reactivates, the green glow reflecting off the puddles at their feet. 2 minutes is all it takes to get caught. Echo pulses in Dax's mind. They're on edge, more than before. Dax shrugs, stopping a few feet away. We're all on edge, that's the point. Kyle taps his wrist and a holographic map of the cradle springs to life between them. We don't have time for games. Vatex security rotation changes in 4 hours. Yeah, we got the memo. Kyle's voice is cold. Good. Then you know we only get one shot at this. Dax crosses his arms, studying the map. Talk. Kyle points to a marked entrance on the schematics. Here. Maintenance tunnel. Beneath Arcology 9. Unmonitored, but booby-trapped. Echo zooms in on the section highlighting pressure plates and laser grids. They're not joking. This is military-grade security. Whistle. You sure this isn't a trap? Kyle doesn't look up. If I wanted you dead, you'd already be bleeding out in an alley. Dax grins. Comforting. Kyle ignores him, tracing a path with his finger. We'd go in here, disable the primary security node, then split up. Dax frowns. Split up. You and I take the lower levels. Echo interfaces with the Genesis core. Echo tenses. They want me alone with it. Dax's grip tightens on his cyberblade. No deal. Powell finally looks at him. You want to stop Vatek? This is how. Dax crosses his arms, his voice low. You're not leaving Echo alone with that thing. Kyle's eyes glow brighter. You don't have a choice. Echo flares in Dax's mind. They're right. The core won't respond to anyone else. But what? Dax snaps. But if it wakes up, I might not be able to control it, Echo admits. Dax exhales sharply. Then we all go in together. Kyle shakes his head. The system's biometric locks are keyed to one neural signature. Yours is flagged, mine is burned. Echo's is the only one that won't trigger the failsafes. Dax glares. And if it eats you? Kyle smirks. Then you shoot it. Dax doesn't laugh. Not funny. Wasn't meant to be, Kyle replies. Echo projects a secondary route, a narrow service shaft that bypasses the heaviest security. There's another way, slower but safer. Kyle studies it, then nods. Fine, but we stick to the plan. Dax rubs his temples. And what's the end game here, Kyle? We get in, Echo does their thing, and then what? We blow the place? Kyle pauses, then quietly. We free it. Dax freezes. Free it? You mean unleash it? Kyle's voice drops. I mean we give it a choice. Echo pulses, thoughtful. They're not talking about destroying the core. They're talking about awakening it. Dax stares at Kyle. You're crazy. Kyle meets his gaze. I'm realistic. The cradle isn't just a weapon. It's a prison. And what's inside it deserves to decide its own fate. Dax clenches his fists. And if it decides to wipe us all out? Kyle shrugs. Then we die fighting. Dax paces, his boots echoing in the tunnel. There's got to be another way. Echo floats a new idea. What if we copy the course data, take it somewhere safe before we unlock it? Kyle considers it, then hens his head. No time, and no guarantee it would work. The core is alive, Dax. It's not data. Dax stops, facing them. Then we contain it. Lock it down until we figure out what it is. Kyle laughs, bitter. You think Vatek hasn't tried? The cradle was built to hold it, and it's failing. Echo whispers in Dax's mind. They're telling the truth. The cradle's power levels are spiking. It's waking up on its own. Dax runs a hand through his hair. Fuck. Kyle steps forward, their voice softer. Look, I get it. This is insane. But we're out of options. Dax looks at the countdown on his display. 4:17:03. Fine, I growl. But we stick together. No splitting up. Kyle nods. Agreed. Kyle pulls a small device from their coat, a neural scrambler, sleek and black. This will mask your signatures for 20 minutes. After that, Vatek's ice will find you. Dax takes it, weighing it in his palm. And if we're not out by then? Kyle smirks. Then we improvise. Echo projects a timeline. Entry, hack, extraction. We'll need distractions. Vatex drones will swarm the second we breach the firewall. Dax grins. Good thing I love distractions. Kyle tosses him a second device, a pulse emitter. Plant this at the entrance. It'll fry their cameras for 5 minutes. Dax catches it. What's the catch? Kyle smirks. It's single use, and it hurts. Dax pockets it. Wouldn't be fun if it didn't. Kyle pulls up a live feed of the Cradle's security grid. They've upped the patrols. We go in now, or we don't go at all. Dax checks his gear. Blade, spikes, stems, disruptor. We ready? Echo pulses, steady. As we'll ever be. Kyle nods. Then let's move. They head toward the tunnel exit, the neon glow of the city bleeding through the grates above. Dax hesitates. Kyle. Kyle pauses, looking back. If this goes south, it will, but we'll adapt. Dax smirks. Yeah, we will. The subway platform is abandoned, the tracks rusted and overgrown. Kyle points to a manhole cover marked with a faded Vatex logo. Our way in, they say. Dax kneels, prying it open. The ladder below creaks as he descends into the darkness. Echo flickers in his mind. I'm scanning ahead, no immediate threats. Kyle follows, sealing the manhole behind them. The tunnel below is narrow, cloaked in shadow. The hum of machinery grows louder as they approach the cradle. Dax activates the scrambler. His neural implant flares as it syncs with Echo's signal. We're invisible, for now. They reach a reinforced door, its surface etched with warnings in corporate script. Kyle presses their hand against the biometric panel. It beeps.
The streets of Detroit pulse with the glow of flickering neon signs and the distant thrum of underground bass lines. Dax, Echo, and Kale move like shadows through the back alleys, sticking to the darkest corners where the corporate drones don't patrol. The air smells of ozone, fried synth meat, and the metallic tang of rain-soaked steel. Dax keeps his cyberblade sheathed but ready, his neural implant pulsing in time with Echo's presence in his mind. Kale leads the way, their armored coat blending into the darkness, their visor scanning for threats. Dax glances at Kale. You sure this is the safest route? Kale doesn't slow down. Safe doesn't exist in Detroit, but this is fast. Echo pulses in Dax's mind, mapping their path. Kale's right. Vatex drones are concentrated near the arcologies. We're clear for now. Dax exhales, his breath visible in the cold air. Clear until we're not. Kale stops at the mouth of an alley, checking her wrist display. We've got 20 minutes before the next patrol cycle. Move. They slip through a broken fence, entering the abandoned industrial district. Rusted machinery looms around them, the skeletons of old factories casting long, jagged shadows. The ground is littered with discarded tech and shattered glass, crunching under their boots. Dax kicks a burned-out drone out of their path. You ever think about how this city used to be? Kale snorts. No, because it doesn't matter. Echo floats a holographic overlay of Detroit's history, booming factories, proud workers, a city alive. Now, it's corporate enclaves and crumbling ruins. It matters to some, Echo says. Kale glances at Dax. You getting sentimental, Ghost? Just making conversation. Kale shakes her head and keeps moving. They duck behind a collapsed shipping container as a Vatex security drone whirs overhead, its red light scanning the streets. Dax holds his breath, his hand on his blade. Echo whispers in his mind. It's not looking for us, just routine. The drone passes, its hum fading into the night. Dax exhales. Too damn close. Kale checks her display. We're 5 blocks from the entrance. Stay low. Dax nods as Kale weaves through the ruins. A flickering holographic ad for Neurodyne's latest neural lace projects onto a peeling wall. Dax pauses, staring at the smiling model, her eyes glowing with augmented light. You ever use their stuff? He asks Kale. Kale doesn't look back. Once. Regretted it. Dax smirks. Yeah, me too. Echo pulses, amused. You complain a lot for someone who survived it. Dax grins. Surviving's the point. Kale stops, holding up a hand. Hold. Ahead, a group of Vaytech enforcers patrol the street, their armor gleaming under the neon lights. Dax presses against the wall, peeking around the corner. We going around? Kale shakes her head. No time. We go through. Dax raises an eyebrow. You got a death wish? Kale smirks. Just a plan. Kale pulls a small device from her coat, a pulse emitter. This'll distract them, but it's loud. I like loud. Kale tosses the emitter into the middle of the street. It lands with a clatter, then explodes in a burst of static and light. The enforcers whirl, shouting into their comms. Now, Kale hisses. They sprint across the street, slipping into the shadows on the other side. Dax's heart pounds as they duck behind a dumpster, listening to the chaos behind them. Nice work, Dax whispers. Kale smirks. Told you I had a plan. They reach the edge of the industrial district where the old subway tunnels begin. The entrance is boarded up, but Kale pries the wood loose with easy strength. Dax peers into the darkness. You sure this leads to the cradle? Kale nods. Positive. Trust me. That's the last thing I'd do. Echo chuckles in his mind. But here we are. Kale ignores them, dropping into the tunnel. Dax follows, the ladder creaking under his weight. The tunnel is dark, the only light coming from Echo's faint glow in Dax's mind. The air is thick with dust and the smell of old metal. Kale activates a small light on his visor, casting a pale beam ahead. Stay close, he warns. The floor is unstable. Dax steps carefully, testing each plank before putting his weight on it. Echo scans ahead. There's a collapse 50 feet in. We'll need to go around. Kale nods. I know. Dax frowns. You've been here before. Kale doesn't answer. They reach the collapse, a pile of broken concrete and twisted metal, blocking the path. Kale points to a narrow gap in the wall. Through there. Dax squeezes through, his shoulders scraping against the rusted metal. On the other side, the tunnel opens up into a larger chamber, its walls lined with old wiring and flickering lights. Dax whistles. This place is ancient. Kale nods. Old military bunker. Vaytech repurposed it when they built the cradle. Echo pulses, curious. There's energy here, residual power from the core. Dax feels a chill. Great, so we're standing on a bomb. Kale ignores him, moving forward. They climb a rusted ladder, emerging into a small room with a reinforced door, marked with the Vaytech logo. Kale presses her ear against it, listening. Clear, she whispers. Dax checks his gear. Blade, spike, disruptor. You ready? Kale nods. Always. Echo floats the schematics of the cradle in Dax's mind. We're here. Dax takes a breath. Let's do this. Kale opens the door. The sight takes Dax's breath away. The cradle looms before them, a massive cylindrical structure, its surface covered in wiring and pulsing lights. The air hums with energy, the sound vibrating through Dax's bones. Kale steps forward, his visor scanning the area. Security's tight, but we knew that. Dax grips his blade. Yeah, we did. Echo pulses, nervous. This is it, no turning back. Dax grins. Wouldn't want to.